we're going to talk about an activity that you can implement with your client to help promote mindfulness in their lives. This activity is a grounding exercise, specifically named 54321. The client that I'll be working with has a background in trauma. This trauma has led to difficulties with navigating social situations, self-expression, challenges, on-task behavior, impulsive behavior due to our ADHD, and just understanding the impact of our behavior. By utilizing mindfulness, hopefully we'll see some support for this client over time. To better support myself and my client with understanding mindfulness and utilizing the grounding exercise 54321, I've created a worksheet to really break it down step by step. First, I want to mention that it's important to start working on this in a regulated state. By practicing such activities in a regulated state, one will be able to really put thought into it and maybe be able to pull this activity during a more escalated or dysregulated time. I'll go into more on that later. But to begin, I'm going to sit down with my client looking at the worksheet. First, the worksheet asks my client to list 5 things they can see. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look around the room and slowly start picking out 5 things that we see. Next, it asks to list 4 things they can touch. We're going to do the same steps. Look around and find 4 things they can touch. And we're going to touch. This will help activate our senses. Next, it asks to list 3 things they can hear. So we're going to follow the same steps, look around, and really listen. What do we hear? Next, 2 things you can smell. Maybe it's a good smell. Maybe it's not so good of a smell, but it's going to really bring us into the room that we're in and focus on what smells are around us. And finally, it's going to ask to list 1 thing you can taste. What's that taste in your mouth? What is currently going on? By activating our senses, we're able to focus on not what's all going on inside of our mind, but we're able to ground ourselves to what is truly happening. By activating our senses, it allows us to really focus on what's important and become in a more regulated state, as we're not going to be as flooded with the worries of our day-to-day activities. The final step of this worksheet, I personally think, is one of the most important. It's reflecting, why are we doing this? Why am I paying attention to my senses? Why am I touching random things? Why am I paying attention to smells? It's going to identify how this activity is going to support us in more dysregulated situations. So it asks the client to identify at least 3 specific activities or situations where the grounding exercise would be helpful. In addition, it asks them to say why it would be helpful to them. So this really puts the why behind this exercise, which is really important because we're not just using our senses for no reason. There's a reason behind it, and it's really going to bring us out of our mind, out of our thoughts, and into the present moment. By having conversations in this one-on-one situation with this client, we'll be able to really practice this technique, but even beyond practice, understand why this can be helpful and have it in our back pocket when situations arise that maybe cause us to be dysregulated. It can help us refocus and recenter and help find ourselves. By utilizing this activity, our client is going to have 1 more skill and 1 more coping strategy as they go into their day-to-day life to face different situations that may come their way. When I follow up with this client later, I want to be sure I bring up this exercise. I'm going to ask if it was utilized at all. And if so, what did we utilize it for? Additionally, I'm going to talk with the client about maybe if we didn't utilize this exercise. Were there any situations where this grounding exercise could have been beneficial? All of these conversations and promoting of positive well-being will really help our client with not just learning a new exercise, but trying to implement it in the moment. This is so important for prevention of our clients' overall well-being.